We are all so busy these days, and we're always looking for helpful tips and advice on how to find a better work-life balance. We all have to earn a living and pay the bills, but are you doing enough to look after yourself and your health at the same time? Now, many of us prioritise careers and work, and we're slaving over our computers and mobiles all the time. But does this make you cut corners on your diet, exercise or sleep? I'm Dr. Ben Sinclair, and welcome to Health versus Wealth with Dr. Ben. Our guests share their life experiences and we discuss their challenges in their health and their wealth. I hope their experiences will help you with your life and health. And I'm delighted to be joined by a guest today, James Carroll. He's an entrepreneur with a very interesting, hard work-life balance. He's 61. He's the founder of the THOR Photobiomodulation company, which uses lasers to heal and to improve pain. And he has an interesting work-life balance, which is why he's on the programme today. He grosses 10 million a year in sales. He has 5,000 customers across 70 countries, and he's currently in his 30th anniversary of the company. He is a businessman who prioritises wealth, and I'm very interested to find out about how that fits in with working 364 days a year. And this is unique for the show. So I want to welcome you to the show. And it's great to know that I'm shaking the hand that's been shaken by, nonetheless, Tom Cruise, who's one of your clients.
Yes, that's right.
Fantastic. And so I'm just one handshake away from stars like Tom. I know you also look after people like Mark Wahlberg and other stars like Mo Farrah. Use your machine. James, tell us how and where did you meet Tom Cruise?
Well, as everybody knows, Tom Cruise is a member of Scientology. And so Scientology have been using our product as well because they've got a lot of employees and they have a wellness kind of program for them as well. So they use our products for that. So I got invited to go and do a training course for Scientology they have a holiday resort of their own. So I went down to their holiday resort, stayed there, they fed me, everything was fabulous, this fabulous auditorium, and do one of my training courses. So my training courses are 8 hours long.
Wow, that's quite a marathon course.
It is. I do them a lot. And imagine my poor audience, me like generating or projecting
you're powering
like this.
Through.
I keep doing the whole thing. I'm like this for 8 hours. Anyway, so we're in this auditorium. They've got 3 cameras there, in the middle, either side, and they're videoing everything so we can play it to other people later on. And I've got all their HR people and health people in front of me, and I do my training course. And around about 4 o'clock, it's in the afternoon, it's time to do the practical bit of the day. Everybody come to the stage and have a look.
Okay.
Now the cameras can't see what's going on; they're seeing the backs of everybody. So I'm wrestling to try and get an angle on the equipment and me talking and doing the demonstration, and they're not doing very well. And then there's a parting of the waves, and down through the middle comes a young lady, and say young lady, she's young to me, and Cass, sorry if you're watching this, you're young to me, and behind her a man wearing the aviator sunglasses, and of course it's Tom Cruise. And so starts thanking me so much for this thing, and Tom comes and says, "Oh, James, we love what you do. We've been sitting out the back. We've seen everything." He shakes my hand, and we really, 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 really appreciate what you do.
Amazing.
And then I kind of try to go back to my thing, and he keeps shaking my hand. It's
he wouldn't let go.
4 or 5 times he keps coming back to shake my hand one more time. He was so gracious. And when we installed at one of his places, he heard that it was the engineers and the people installing the Nova THOR had a birthday, and said, "Right, we're all going out, and you're coming to my favourite restaurant, and we're going to birthday." And he took him out for birthday. And everybody I've met who've ever met him says he's a really decent and sincere and authentic human being, and he was great.
Well, the story certainly shows that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So please tell us more about your THOR Laser company and how you got started.
How I got started? 1987. At that time I was working with a company that helped companies raise grant money for research. And Guy's Hospital London, they were interested in researching this new technology, which used to be called laser biostimulation.
Okay.
So I helped raise £1 million for them and a laser company to do that work. It was a joint venture. I thought it was so interesting that I gave up my job to go and work for the laser company to do some sales for them, because I believed it should be in every department of every hospital in the whole world, and I would imagine it would be there within 5 years. This was so miraculous.
Wow. So, I mean, you're a few years into this mission, and I think you said that your goal was to try and get this into every hospital or every healthcare setting in the world.
Well, every corner of every department of every hospital in the whole world.
Wow, that is a big, hairy goal.
Yes.
Now, you are already in 70 countries. How are you actually achieving this goal? I know you have a punishing schedule. You've just flown back in from India.
Mm-hmm.
How are you managing to drive this technology across the country, across the world?
Across the world. There's a lot of research on it. So there's already more than 10,000 academic papers published on it, more than 1,200 randomised placebo-controlled clinical trials.
That's a lot
published
of
on it.
research.
It's a lot of research on one subject. It's been mostly done in universities. It's not really driven by industry. So there's already a lot of interest. So it tends to find me. So we just have to have a good website with good search engine optimization and search engine marketing with AdWords and things, so we're easy to find with a keyword like photobiomodulation. So they find us, but then we've also gained our reputation as well. So I've become a personality on the on the circuit, as it were.
Yeah,
I'm turning up at all of these events, doing a lot of public speaking. So through public speaking, being interviewed by people like you, collaborations with Harvard and Stanford and New York University, getting my name on academic papers. So my expertise is getting sort of recognised and shared around the world, and then they come to our website and they buy our product.
Amazing. And I mean, I know you travel an awful lot. How do you put up with this punishing schedule that you're literally going from country to country, promoting this new technology that actually can really help people? How are you keeping yourself healthy in that? Because you're an incredibly busy man.
So now I'm fortunate enough to be in a size of business now where we can afford to live on business class travel. That's a good place to start.
That helps, yeah.
It does. So most of my travel has been to the United States, but I will make sure I don't get an early flight in the morning. I always wanted like a midday kind of flight, so I could wake up at a kind of a normal time, preferably, but lie in a bit.
Okay.
And then when the first thing in the morning, get up slowly, pack my bags, and then get to the airport. So there's no rush or stress in that preparation. So
you've been kind to yourself.
Kind to myself at the front end, knowing that the day's going to, if it's an East Coast trip, it's 5 hours time difference. The idea that you get up at 6 or 5 in the morning to get a flight that's going to leave at something like 9 in the morning is just punishing yourself further with already a 5 hour time difference. So it starts there really. Other things I do is I eat really carefully. I'm a very fussy eater about what I choose to eat.
I'm really interested about eating, and we're really, really into nutrition at Dr. Finley's, so I'm fascinated to know more about your eating habits. You were mentioning your breakfast is very important to you.
Yes.
Tell me about your breakfast. How do you maintain your breakfast across time zones in the world?
Well, at home, we make, my wife and I make a seed cake, and I just, one slice of that, it's really dense. So I'm like the intermittent fasting thing. So I've probably gone 12 hours since my last meal for that. And that's easy to do when you're at home and eating seed cakes. And I can regulate the rate at which I get up and start my day that way.
It's easier at home, isn't it?
It is
but
much
you're talking
easier.
about travelling
I'm
to
talking
time
about work.
zones. How does that work?
Okay, so first thing when you're travelling, you never know, particularly when you're out of the time zone and jet lag.
Yep.
A snack attack could have hurt you at any time. You've got this pound for 100, you're in a weird time zone.
And what do you do then?
I carry a large bag of mixed nuts. I mix my own nuts, so I want walnuts and hazelnuts. By my little research, don't trust me, I'm not a doctor, I'm an engineer. But for the bit of research I did in the subject, it looked like hazelnuts and walnuts had the most nutrition for me.
Yep.
Can't eat Brazil nuts.
Yep.
And so I have those, and then that's my snack. That's the only thing I eat.
So you're grazing on these nuts. They're high energy, they're high nutrition, and they stave off those hunger pangs.
Yes. Not being tempted, because when you're travelling, you've got nothing but junk around you.
Exactly.
Even if you're only driving up and down the motorways of the UK, service stations, what do they sell you?
They're full of junk.
Junk.
Exactly. I'm 100% with you. And actually, in paleo terms, anything that's within arm's reach, you're more likely to eat. So if you've got those nuts with you, you're going to reach into your bag, get a handful of nuts, rather than eating a chocolate bar or some burger or junk food.
So, and I I mean, I will eat airplane food, but I tend to I avoid what I call the padding. So anything made with flour, like pasta or pizza base or a bun that comes around a burger. Yeah. So I go for as much vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, proteins as I can for the least amount of padding.
Okay, so nutrient dense.
Chuck
the padding.
Because once you start hitting 40, 50, now over 60 years old, that stuff sticks to you.
It does, and you're 61.
Yes.
I have to say, if I am in your shape when I'm 61, that's 15 years' time for me, I would be a happy man.
So that's looking after myself in all those little ways. Sleep, I mean, just getting into a time zone. I set my watch for the country I'm going to in advance, so I'm thinking in their time zone as I'm getting on the plane. In fact, I have a checklist for the plane, and I run down this checklist of things. When I'm on the plane, right, I'm going to want this, that, the other. I want my nuts close to me. I want my computer charger. I want those things. And on there is also changing the time zone in my
because then you're into the new time zone.
I'm into the new time zone.
Absolutely.
It regulates my behaviour.
Hits the ground
Same when I come back, and all that time zone changing.
It's fascinating. And when you come back home for any period of time, do you go through a decompression?
I run straight for my NovaThor.
Okay.
Yes, and occasionally my wife doesn't travel with me much, but if we do, it's the pair of us straight into that NovaThor.
Okay, now we've not mentioned the NovaThor. This is one of the key products that your company creates, and I'm very interested in it for its health benefits. Why do you run to your NovaThor when you just come off the plane?
There's clear evidence that photobiomodulation reduces inflammation.
Okay.
And it's been demonstrated with the NovaThor in clinical trials that it reduces fatigue.
Okay.
So that's a component of it. And there's a published paper following a US women's soccer team for a year, a randomized controlled clinical trial where some of them get active photobiomodulation, some get placebo. And they have these very accurate GPS devices on them as they're training so they can see how much activity they're doing.
Okay.
And the active treatment group ran around a lot more. And it's going to sound weird, and they slept less.
But it was better quality, was it?
Exactly. They could identify this as they didn't need so much sleep. Other people need more sleep. If you do a lot of training, you need more sleep. And these people didn't need it.
You mentioned that you were a 7-hour-a-night man. So actually that's...
Well, I can't help it. It's just 7 hours for me.
Yeah. But it sounds like you're potentiating that with the use of the machine. Now, I shook your hand and asked you about Tom Cruise earlier. I know that you mentioned that Tom Cruise used a machine to help when he broke his ankle filming Mission Impossible. Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, as you said, he's filming Mission Impossible, and then he breaks his ankle, and his therapist says, "Quick! I've read about this photobiomodulation. I've heard about this company THOR and James Carroll, and immediately I got a message. Somebody tracked me down, and I found him a local therapist in London to give him a treatment, who also went on to talk about the whole body treatment. Whilst he's getting his treatment, said, well, I've got to have some of that. And immediately he's bought one for one home and another home, and one he has on wheels for an aeroplane.
Amazing.
Carries them everywhere, and he's told all his friends.
And he's into longevity. I mean, he looks good for his age as well, doesn't he?
And we're exactly the same age, he and I.
Fantastic. So actually, you've got a lot in common.
Yes.
I think you've also met other celebrities, or other celebrities have used your devices. I mean, you mentioned it's good for recovery, but also good for healing.
Yes.
Can you tell me more how it works for healing in a brief way?
Yes. Well, the obvious one is improved blood flow.
Okay.
It switches, and this is one for the nerds. If you know what macrophages are and you know what polarization macrophages are, we flip macrophages from their inflammatory state to the point, because they will trigger regenerative effects.
So these are inflammatory cells that have become activated. You want them to become more kind of passive and calm down.
And regenerative. So they will switch on. So they will send out signals to start growth factors.
Okay, and this is complex science even for me as a doctor to understand. Yeah. But what I'm hearing is faster healing, faster recovery.
Yes, and you've got the better blood flow.
And blood flow. Now that's really interesting because in long COVID, my specialty, blood flow is paramount. And if we're not getting good blood flow, we're getting problems with microcirculation, so the small vessels.
Yes.
A lot of people with long COVID get really cold hands.
There's clear evidence that PBM improves microcirculation.
You've made a really interesting statement, and you said to me that being an entrepreneur is a disease. Tell me more about that.
Well, I'm thinking back to the days of Maggie Thatcher when people were being encouraged to be entrepreneurial. And
right.
I do wonder if that was a bit dangerous, because if you don't have the drive, the instinct to become an entrepreneur, it's dangerous territory. It's hard work. You'll be driven, I suspect, to actually succeed. It's not for the faint-hearted. So I would say take it carefully. So I would just say if you feel called, absolutely do it. if you don't get the call, I would just be careful.
How do you know if you've got the call? I mean, you clearly have done an awful lot. You're quite a driven man, I would say. How do you know if you've got the call?
My call was that it came a point when what really drives me is that I'm concerned that this technology it might just fade away. If you've ever heard of the technology adoption life cycle, this is a well-known thing everybody in marketing knows.
Yeah.
Innovators, early adopters, early mainstream laggards. There's a gap. It's called the chasm. Crossing the Chasm is a book, sometimes called The Valley of Death, where most new technologies go to die. And my fear was photobiomodulation, PBM, would disappear into that chasm. And it felt wrong that would ever happen. It would be a crime.
Yeah, and you knew the power of this treatment.
So, and I've driven by making sure that never happens. So that's all I'm really doing, is I'm just stopping that from happening.
It's quite a mission, isn't it?
It is.
How do you balance that with family?
My poor family. And then my wife's an osteopath, an naturopath. She also supports a charity, an osteopathic charity as well. She's got 2 elderly parents. She's very busy. She's got a lot of hobbies. Very active girl. She has a life of her own. I have a life of my own. We're both very selfish people who are absolutely besotted with each other. And
That's
we
lovely
have
to hear.
really rich, intense and affectionate time together. So we really enjoy that. But we're out changing the world in our own ways. She has a busy schedule. She teaches all over Europe. So she's a little bit like me.
She's a jet setter as well.
Yeah, she is.
James, you're a very busy man. How many days off a year do you think you should take?
Should take? Oh, I don't know. That'll be down to individuals. For me, I only plan one day off a year.
What day is that?
Christmas Day, of course.
So
and
you
I
actually
cook.
take Christmas Day off?
And I love Christmas, love Christmas dinner, and I love cooking it as well. And you bring as many relatives around as possible. So it's my favourite day of the year.
I love
Enjoy
it.
that. So this is one I look forward to. Otherwise, my normal routine is go to the office every single day, 7 days a week. But I want that exercise, you see, because for me it's a 2.25 mile walk there and a 2.25 mile back. That's an excuse to get that done. I love my office, so the setup, it's very quiet. There's nobody else there, so I enjoy that as well. I love my computers and things, so I enjoy all of it.
It's all set up.
Yes, and it's a time where I do particular kind of projects. So I enjoy the walk, I enjoy the work. And I don't rush there early in the morning again. I go same routine after lunch. Go there. Maybe not stop work till 8. I tend to stop at 7 on a weekend, and then go home after that. If there's a wedding, if my son's wedding, I take the day off. It's not like thing, but in principle, I don't look into my year and plan time off. Even when I go to those trips to Barcelona, thanks to laptops and Zoom and Teams calls, really, I work every day that thing, but I get up a bit late. We go out for awesome lunches. We cook at home in Spain, and that we enjoy that. It's enjoy all of it.
I
really.
think what's coming across is you're a perfect example of work-life full integration. People talk about work-life balance, but actually, you've fully integrated all of your health habits into your work. Your work isn't work for you; it's your passion, and so it sustains you rather than drains you.
People say, "Oh, can I book some time off? I've got to take my son to the dentist or something, or take themselves to the dentist, whatever." No, make sure your family life works.
Absolutely.
And figure it out. Between you, just get done what you need to get done, and there we go. We give everybody a laptop; they can work at home if they want to.
Yeah. So there's that flexibility. Do you think you've got the balance right?
Definitely right for me. Some people might definitely want to keep these work and things are different, and for, their passion isn't their work; it's their hobby. It's what they do for the local community. It's not. It's not in their job. Their job is I've got to do my job from 9 to 5. I'll do a good job. I'll take my wage packet, and then I'll stop, and then I'll be with my family and I'll do my community stuff.
Do you have any plans to retire, or will this carry on well into your 80s, 90s, as some entrepreneurs do?
So my goal for photobiomodulation is to have it established as a first-line medical treatment for 100 different diseases in 100 different countries by the time I'm 100 years old.
Okay, so you're going to be here when you're 100.
That's my business plan. I've got interim goals of 10 diseases, 10 countries, 10 years, and much smaller, more immediate goals than that. So yes, but I'm also aware that whilst I have that as a goal, that I might not be the right person to be doing that. I never want to give it up. I've got so many friends out of this. I absolutely love every day of my work, even the challenging bits and things that go wrong. The fact that it's a roller coaster it's not a bad thing. You know, there's drama. It doesn't all go to plan or anything. It's not smooth sailing by any means, but I enjoy it. And I tend to look backwards and think, wow, look how far things have come. I have to pinch myself and say, how did I get here? First of all, left school at 16. I've got one O level in this thing, and I teach at Harvard Medical School, Stanford University, University of Pennsylvania, Newark University. Dozens of universities around the world have had me in as a guest speaker.
That would fly in the face of a lot of school-based people who say, academics is important. You left school at 16. And now you're teaching at Harvard. So,
yes.
Clearly you've bucked the trend.
And gave a speech to the United Nations and to Congress and at the White House.
And obviously there's an appetite for the research and the potential that you're generating.
And I know what TGF-beta-1 is.
You did know. I can't even pronounce that fast enough to say. A lot of our listeners won't know what that is because they're not medical. But I think the hope that you're holding out potentially for the long COVID community is quite exciting. I also think there's a lot of people with ME/CFS and a lot of people with chronic conditions, even people who just are high-performing individuals like yourself who want to recover quicker, who want to perform better in business. Yeah. This sounds like a very relevant intervention. And even I've had patients who haven't had PBM but have gone to Spain when they're able to. And I do believe it's not just the sunshine because we were controlling for their vitamin D. But actually the rays that they were exposed to, which I know are also infrared coming out of the sun that your machine can mimic, help them to get better quicker in a week in Spain than they were in 6 months in England in the fog.
Right.
So I think there's a very relatable experience there with not having had that therapy, but then in 20 minutes of therapy we may be able to get the same effect.
Right. You've got a story about Spain.
Say again?
And I've got a story about Spain.
Tell me about Spain. Now, I hear that you like to race up the stairs.
Well, so myself and Jeff Bezos, another customer, both enjoy stair running.
Okay.
So, and I take a lot of stairs.
Is this a dangerous sort of adventure sport?
Yes, it's my extreme sport. It's my Olympic sport. I'm a gold medalist in
stair running.
in stair running, that kind of thing. So, so my wife and I go to Barcelona regularly. We stay in apartments on the 9th floor. The elevator only goes to, from American speaking, the lift only goes to the 8th floor, and it's very small. It's an old building. So we get to the ground floor of the apartment, open the elevator, the lift, put the suitcases and pack my wife into it and close the door, press the button. I run up the 8 stairs, and been going there for more than 10 years, and I've usually managed to do reasonably well with keeping up with it. But now we've been using the Novak for the last 5 years. Yeah. I have been getting better and better. And my last trip, now as you get older you should be getting slower, not faster. And I comfortably beat it to the 8th floor.
Now that's interesting. I wonder how long that will carry on until your
Well, that's my
birthday.
benchmark now, isn't it?
So you've now got to keep doing this.
Yes.
But what I love is that you're actually making use of a natural thing that's part of your day.
Yes.
It's not taking any more time. It's fun.
Yep.
And you're also goal setting against yourself. And I think you also mentioned that you like to walk around with a heavy rucksack and a brisk walk to work as well.
Yeah, and I've got a travel planner, so she books my hotels, restaurants, flights, the whole thing. And as part of that, I have her book me a mile away-ish, half a mile and a half, away from wherever I've got to work, so that I get some exercise in.
And brisk walking is some of the best form of exercise.
Yes.
Low impact, give the circulation, give the cardiovascular.
Yes.
Basically, on the way to somewhere is the best way to get your exercise.
I can do 15 minutes to half an hour walk, Sometimes it's the only exercise I get, and so if I can get an opportunity to do that, or I'll take myself out for a walk if necessary. But
interesting. James, what do you do to relax? Finally,
do
you have time to relax in your busy schedule?
I've got 5 things that I'm excited about in life: wine, women, song, lasers, and motorbikes.
Okay.
So, food and wine, wife.
Where does the song come in?
Well, I was a teenage pop star.
Okay, so that's the song taken care of.
But no. But
do you still sing?
And with in the kitchen, in the shower.
Fantastic.
But no, I'm music collecting and pop music. And I was speaking to your research assistant for this podcast here out there. We were chatting about music and stuff. Absolutely love collecting new music.
So music.
Always got an ear for new music. Very broad spectrum on that kind of thing.
And last word on the motorbikes.
Yes.
Tell me briefly about the motorbikes.
I've been riding motorcycles since I was 16, so when I had a sort of a scooter. And then, yes, I've got an old 1978 Triumph Bonneville T140E, which I had as one of those as a teenager, as a 17-year-old. Then I've had also a Honda ST1100, so that's a modern sort of high-powered bike as well.
Yeah. Wow. What's your preference? Or is it different bikes for different...
when it's wet, I want the Honda because it's got the big fairing on it.
Yeah.
And when it's a sunny day, I'll take the Triumph.
Amazing.
Out for a spin.
Oh, wow. Well, you've actually got quite a full life. What's been fascinating is, digging deep below the surface, I actually am struggling to find things that that might be, out of balance. You seem to be balancing this very well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would say working 364 days a year is unhealthy, but actually what you've done is you've built in all these health habits into your everyday life.
Yes, well, I didn't mention the everyday life thing. Is I get up very gently, I take it easy to start to my day. I don't go to the office till the afternoon.
And you're kind to yourself.
Yes,
in this.
Exactly. I'm kind to myself. So I'm eating a lot of homemade food, and as you know my view on food now. So I it's not like I do at 7:40 typically. I'm there. I'm checking my overnight mail and messages. So it's not like it starts there, but I don't get in the shower until something like 1 o'clock. So that I am kind to myself. So I'm in meetings online and stuff like that, and I will get up and go to meetings, and I can get up at 3 in the morning and go somewhere if I need to. It's not like I never do it, but I don't. I try to plan my day, and it tends to mean to a late finish. So that's why I finish at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Fantastic. I'm beginning to understand why you look so healthy and energised, and even just being in the room, you can feel the energy coming out of this man and the passion for his subject. It's been really fascinating talking to you. Are there any final tips that you would give anybody as an entrepreneur, maybe starting out in their journey?
Well, first, yes, and I'd like to contradict something you did in my introduction, because you said you're very focused on wealth, and the answer is no, I'm not. To that, I'm focused on getting photobiomodulation into every corner of every department of every hospital in the whole world. So I'm very much mission driven, and I'm very much in work with people I love and love the benefit, and we collect a lot of feedback. And if you can find something which that excites you every day,
yes,
you never have to work a day in your life.
It's exciting. So it's fun, exciting,
yeah,
that drives you.
Yeah.
James, it's been fascinating speaking to you. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today.
One more time.
Thank you so much.
The Tom Cruise hand.
And the Tom Cruise hand. So that's it for today. I hope my guest and I have helped you meet some of your health versus wealth challenges. Now, to hear more from me, Dr. Ben, why not subscribe on your usual podcast platform? And if you'd like my advice or you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me on podcast@drfinlays.co.uk. Anyway, I hope to see you again, but for now, it's goodbye from me, Dr. Ben.